Hey, folks, this is Congressman Rich Nugent on the phone with you tonight. Glad you're on the line. If you would like to ask a question or make a statement, give me some ideas as to what you think we should be doing up here in Washington, D.C., just press 0 on your phone, and you'll go right to a live operator, Laura, who will get you into the queue so we can hear from you and get your opinions and ideas. We do this almost every week that we're up in Washington, D.C. We just finished up some votes, and we're going to be back on the floor. Actually, I have to go back on the floor to do an amendment, limitation amendment, to help our National Guard troops. And then we'll have late votes tonight. So we wanted to fit this in so we could hear from people back home. It's always good for me to stay in touch. So we try to do this every week that we're up in Washington, D.C. Otherwise, when we're back in the district, we're out and about meeting with folks and going to businesses and talking to people. So once again, if you just join us, press 0 on your phone. You'll go right to a live operator, Laura, and she'll get you into the queue so we can hear from you and hear your ideas and thoughts. We certainly, the reason we do this, it's important to me to hear from you specifically. So this is one way to do it. Once again, folks, just press 0 on your phone, and you'll go to Laura, who's a live operator, and we'll get you into the queue. We're looking forward to having you here and hearing your ideas and your thoughts as to what we should be doing up here in this crazy place of Washington, D.C. Once again, just press 0 on your phone, and you'll go right to a live operator who will get you into the queue so I can hear from you. And folks that live in the neighborhood can hear your ideas, too. So here we go to our first caller. But once again, folks, I just want to let everybody know, if you just join us, press 0 on your phone. You go right to our live operator, and we'll get you into the queue. Here's our first caller.
Yes, Congressman.
Hi.
Are we going to see a increase in the VA's budget after what's happened with the VA? Because of I've noticed, like, for instance, this year I haven't seen normally by January I usually get my for seeing regular health care by January I usually have my my usual lab and my regular doctor appointment usually scheduled by January for September.
Right.
Well, I haven't even received that yet. So
have you called in to do that or what?
Well, no, usually they schedule it, usually by January it's usually already scheduled.
Okay.
But we haven't even seen that yet. And I'm actually surprised because this is the first year that's happened since I moved to Ocala in 2008.
Right.
And it's the first time it's happened.
What I'd like to, I'll give you an answer here shortly, but what I'd like you to do is you live in Ocala?
Yes, sir.
Give my Marion County office right there in Ocala a call. And because they can get the information and they can do an inquiry, because that's part of what we're seeing a problem going across the United States with the VA. So
yes,
the number is 352, of course, and it's 351-1670. I should have asked you if you had a pen nearby.
Yeah, hang on one second. Yeah,
okay. Sure.
Let me find something to write on.
And the office is right there at 115th Southeast 25th Ave.
Yes. It's 352.
351, right?
351.
1670.
1670. Yes, sir. I'll have them. I'll give them a call and talk to them.
Absolutely. Well, as it relates to the VA, if people have followed suit with the VA, every time they've put in a budget request, they've gotten 100% of what they asked for. We exempted them from sequester. They never got any cuts as it related to sequester. So every budget request they've asked for, they've gotten. As a matter of fact, I just sat in a hearing with the head of the VA, and they said they were funded adequately, and particularly the offices in Florida were funded adequately. So part of my problem is, and I don't have a problem increasing the funding for the VA, but I think what we're all saying is, let's find out what the issues are. Let's find out what the problems are. The secretary has, stepped down. Let's get a new secretary in there. But bigger than that is we really have to find out what the systemic problems are within the VA before we throw even more money at a bureaucratic system that really is not functioning the way it should. But Congress, and one of the things they have done is fully funded the VA every time. And actually, we pre-fund it. We fund them forward, like no other department in the United States is funded. So we go out of our way in Congress to make sure that the VA gets in the right position that they need to have, and they have the funds to do the job. Once again, folks, if you're just joining us, press 0 on your phone. You'll go right to a live operator, and we'll get you into the queue. But also, as if you have a particular problem with the VA, I'll give you a number again to contact them when you get on the line. Contact us so we can reach out to them specifically. So go to the next caller.
Hi.
Hello.
Congressman Nugent. My husband's a veteran,
yeah.
And we pay pretty close attention to what's going on. We know that you've thrown more money than sense at the VA administration. One of the questions I have is there a group that's going to be assigned to actually look at the foundation of the VA and see planning forward how they're going to overcome the problems the VA is having? And two, my husband has a claim that was filed in 2009. In January 2014, it finally made its way to the BVA. I called there a couple weeks ago. I was told that they were funding or looking at claims made in 2011, starting in January, and that there were 20,200 files ahead of my husband's. In what universe would you say that is just?
It's just crazy. I mean, it's absolutely. And that's what we're seeing across the board. And I don't sit on the Veterans Affairs Committee, but I have testified in front of them. We have, passed legislation just recently, as a matter of fact, as
right.
it relates to the Veterans Affairs Committee, both in the Senate and the House, and they're putting those two together to make sure that we come up with the right plan. And it isn't just always about money. And there's some that say, we just got to throw more money at it. The problem is we throw more money at these bureaucracies, and they wind up spending it and giving bonuses to people that don't deserve them. First of all, I have a problem with government workers getting a bonus, but that's an argument for a different day. But I really have a problem when you give bonuses to people that have been found at fault for not doing their job. That just is ludicrous to me that you'd even think about doing that. So, at the end of the day, what I want to see is what you just alluded to was the fact that we got to come to grips with what the issues are within the VA. And so the Veterans Affairs Committee is doing hearings as we speak. They're doing 2 a week right now, bringing people in. They're going to be, forcing the new administration into doing those quality assurance type checks, because what's happened with this bureaucracy in the VA, we have some, let me step back and say, we do have some people in the VA that do a very good job. We have some very good doctors and nurses and that, but we do have some, and it's in the administration that tends to gum things up, as we've seen with, delays in treatment for our veterans, and delays like, you just talked about in regards to getting the benefits that our veterans deserve, that have, they have earned those benefits, and to do anything to delay that is, in my estimation, criminal. And I think that we need to start holding people accountable. As a matter of fact, the bill that we just passed absolutely gives, because today these senior administrators are basically bulletproof. Nothing can happen to them. They're protected. And so we passed legislation that will take that protection away so they can be held accountable and, if necessary, fired for not doing their job. But the VA and others in government, they think these bonuses are just, part of their pay raise program, and they just get it willy-nilly. People in my office don't get a bonus. People that work for me in this congressional office, they don't receive a bonus. they receive a pay raise based upon the quality of their work, or they get terminated if they're not up to speed. That's the right way to do it. As sheriff, we used to do that. So, folks, if you're just joining us, please press 0 on your phone. You can wind up getting into the queue. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts. Here we go. Hello.
Hello, this is Rita Slade, and I heard you mention that you have legislation in the works. Is eliminating bonuses for all government workers part of that bill?
No, it's not. It's just for the VA at this point. But I was surprised when I got elected and came up to Washington D.C. I didn't realize that government workers got bonuses, federal government workers.
Well,
because
I think
we didn't get that in the state government.
I think that is a great deal of the problem that emanates, that causes all of these problems that you're looking at now. They are working to get the bonuses, and that's why they're falsifying records and whatever.
Right.
And I think the same thing occurred in the IRS.
Right. Oh, I agree with you 100%. Like I said, in local government or state government, I'm not aware of people getting bonuses for doing their job. You got pay raises or you got a COLA, but you didn't get a bonus on top of those things just for doing your job. It'd be one thing if somebody came up with a great idea as to how to do something more efficiently and it saved money. I could, I guess, kind of buy it, but just to give a bonus for that, if you think about this, the Phoenix VA, which started this whole debacle with the VA, at least bringing it to light with the VA, they received in over 3 years they doled out over $10 million in bonuses. It's just I don't have words to express my dismay that we can give bonuses to people that do substandard work, but they believe they deserve it, and that's what these administrators do. And I think you're absolutely right when you said they're doing this, they're falsifying records to show that they're meeting certain benchmarks, and at the end of the day, guess what? The end of the day, they falsified it so they could keep getting their bonuses. I agree with you on that, and we're going to do some things to try to change that. So we're going to go to our next caller. Here we go.
Well, excuse me. I understand and I know that you are a co-sponsor of H.R. 25, the fair tax. I want to thank you greatly for that. I want to be sure that you are aware of the memorial that the Florida legislature just passed, making it the official position of the state of Florida that they want the fair tax. And the question is, what can we do to get the Republican Party as an entity behind the fair tax? I mean, besides all the great things that it does, what could possibly be better than making the Democrats run as friends of the IRS?
That's a darn good idea, let me tell you. Well, I mean, you're right, and I am aware of the memorial that the state legislature passed, supporting, obviously, a fair tax. And you mentioned that I'm a co-sponsor, but I got on that. It was the first thing I think I got on to co-sponsor when I first came up here just about 3 years ago, or 3.5 years ago now. And so, I will tell you some good news, some bad news. I mean, last year was the first year that we actually were able to get a hearing in front of Ways and Means on the fair tax. This year, they're saying that we're actually going to hopefully get a vote on the fair tax. Whether or not it's just a vote in committee, that hasn't been decided. But I think we should have the ability, the House of Representatives, to have debate on this and put it to a vote. Let people put it to a vote because it certainly isn't. It certainly will help us in the long run. And listen, I'm a big supporter of doing away with the current taxing system that we have. I mean, we have 70,000 plus pages of tax law that you and I, most folks wouldn't understand or couldn't understand because of the way it's written. And so my thing is fair tax, flat tax, change the whole tax system, get it down to one piece of paper. That's my idea of getting it to a position. And when you start talking about, corporate taxes, we have the highest corporate tax rate of any industrialized nation. So, we're forcing companies to move overseas. Well, we need to be doing things to bring these companies back and have them create jobs here in America so we can put Americans back to work. I don't care about any other country, but I do care about America and that Americans have jobs if they want. So we'll see what happens as it moves forward, and we're certainly hoping that we can get more traction with the fair tax. And I'd suggest that you reach out to other legislators, our state senators, not state senators, our U.S. senators, and tell them what you think about the fair tax, if you support it or not. Let them know what you think. It's important. Just like me listening to you, it's very important that I hear your ideas and thoughts. We'll go to our next caller. Here we go, folks. And if you're just joining us, press 0 on your phone so you can get into the queue. We appreciate it. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Congressman Nugent. My name is Tim McElliott. Excuse me.
Sure.
I'm a combat vet that's paraplegic, and apparently I need a specific type of wheelchair. The one they've given me is over 500 pounds, and I requested a drive-in vehicle about a year and a half ago. They haven't called me, haven't sent a letter or anything of yay or nay where I could actually appeal what their answer would be. I have no idea what's going on. Nobody's called me. And apparently I'm also qualified for a $50,000 grant to either remodel my home or buy a new home that I can get around in.
Sure.
Right now I'm in a mobile home, and this chair, I can't go anywhere. I have to have people take me to the shower and stuff like that. So the service officer, the service officer that put in for this request filed the wrong paperwork, and they've sent it back to me to refine it. But it's been over 2 years before they finally sent the letter back to me. I can't even get a hold of a telephone number to contact somebody to find out.
Well, let us get involved in this case with you. Where do you live? Do you live in Ocala or?
I live in Ocala, out in the National Forest.
Okay. Well,
the wheelchair. They've screwed up so bad that the van that I had, they said the chair will not fit in the van.
Oh man.
So I bought another vehicle, which they described to me that it needed a 6,000-pound towing capacity. Well, it's got 11,000. Then they tell me, well, we can't put the chair on that after I buy the vehicle. And I asked them, is this going to be qualified? Is this going to be okay? And they said yes. Well, when I got it, they said they didn't even have a lift big enough to put the chair on, and they refused to put it on the back of the vehicle.
Well, let us do this. Let my office, and this is one of the things that we do. We have usually pretty good luck dealing with the VA. We don't always get everything that we want, but end of the day, we usually get answers, and we can get them to expedite and give us the answer, give you the answer.
I'd like to get an answer. Just
Absolutely.
So I can either appeal it or find out where I'm at.
Let us do this. What I want you to do is, if you would call the Ocala office. Do you have a pen or a pencil there?
I do.
Okay. It's area code 352. And then the number's 351.
Yes.
1670. In what the office will do, and we listen for any other veterans out there that are having issues or folks with Social Security and Medicare. What we do is we have some information we have to get from you in a form that you can either come into the office and sign, or we can get it to you to sign and get back to us. That gives us permission to get involved in your case with whatever government agency we're dealing with, in the VA in particular on this one. Let us get involved, because this is part of what we're saying is that we have veterans that have paid a price to serve their country, and when you all need us, the VA should be the one standing there doing it, and they don't know anything about customer service. I guess they've never figured out that the only reason they exist is to support our veterans. It's the only reason the VA exists, for no other reason. It's one of the few agencies that have a single focus, single mission, and that's to help our veterans. And so we want to move forward, make sure that we can help people that need it, that have served us. And I just want to thank you for your service to our country. It means an awful lot to. I know it means an awful lot to me and my family because all three of my kids served this country, United States Army. So we're going to go to our next caller. Here we go, folks. If you're just joining us, press 0 on your phone so you can get into the queue. Here we go. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I just get so upset sometimes because there's people in leadership that aren't doing their job, and it seems like people ought to be paying attention and call them on it when they don't do their jobs, because people are dying unnecessarily due to people breaking the law in leadership. And I love our laws in America. I love our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence. I love that we had a Christian foundation. A lot of people don't act like they even know that. I love our English language. I think everybody in leadership today, no matter what position it is, should be supporting those things that made America great. And it's greed and manipulation that's ruining everything. But when these people break laws, just like they did with the VA, putting them on long wait lists, and nobody's saying anything about it before now, it's cost a lot of lives, and that's a shame.
Well, I agree with you, and part of what's happened, this administration goes after people that try to bring it forward. There's a law, the whistleblower law, that protects whistleblowers, but the administration has had it absolutely goes out of their way to create problems for any employee that comes forward and says, listen, I think you're wrong. I think, leadership within the VA or whatever the organization, IRS or whatever, they stifle that. If you are an employee and speak up and say something's not right, what happens is you wind up, getting demoted, or something else happens to you because they target you, because they don't want that information getting out, and that in and of itself, A, it's a crime for them to do that, but B is, employees within these organizations need to start standing up. There's a law to protect them. And I've said this, and I've put this, in writing, that if there's any employer of the federal government that feels that because they're bringing forward an issue that is negative to that organization, and they feel like they're being gone after because they're bringing that forward to try to fix a problem, that they need to reach out to my office, and we'll do everything in our power to protect them, to make sure that we do fix these issues. Because, most of the people that are working at these organizations, most of them want to really do a good job. And they get as frustrated as everybody else when they're held back by their leadership, and then there's no consequences to leadership. You've seen this across the board, whether it's been in the IRS, whether it's been the Justice Department, most recently now with the VA, and you hit on that, people have died because of the lack of service and appointments for folks that need that medical care. But more than that, they earn that medical care by sacrificing for you and I. So we got other callers, and I don't want to belabor this point, but I appreciate your comments, and we'll go to our next caller. Here we go. Yeah, hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
I'd like to know what in the world these politicians are thinking of. Raising the tax on gasoline. Gasoline is high enough, and the taxes is high enough. They don't need to raise any more taxes. And gasoline is ridiculous.
Well, as we're going to see, guess what? Gasoline prices are going to go up even higher based upon what's going on in Iraq. You know, we're being told that the price of crude is going to go up. Won't be surprised to see it go up to $200 a barrel. And, you know, there are a couple senators in the Senate that have proposed a 12-cent gas hike, tax hike on gasoline to be phased in over the next 2 years. Now, I don't know if it'll ever get out of the Senate. That's their idea as it relates to, you know, putting more money in the Transportation Trust Fund. And that fund, obviously, does need to have some more money in it because, you know, as we've increased the fuel efficiency of cars, we've decreased the amount of gasoline that's consumed, which, you know, every gallon is where the tax comes onto. But there's some great ideas out there as to how to put more revenue in to, you know, fix crumbling roads and fix failing bridges and that. And one of the ideas through David Camp, chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, is to allow these companies to bring, you know, almost $3 trillion back into the United States instead of paying a 35% tax on it, to reduce it down to a level that meets other countries in the industrialized world, and use a portion of that tax that we wouldn't have gotten anyhow and put that into the trust fund to, you know, create jobs, to, you know, allow for more, you know, repair of roads and bridges, things that we need to have infrastructure-wise, without raising taxes. This is absolutely think about it. You know, when we're talking about gas prices are going to go up because of what's going on in the instability right now in Iraq. We shouldn't even be talking about adding additional burden on the people that, you know, go to work every day, that drive their cars to go to work. You know, we shouldn't be, you know, talking about taxing them more. This is just crazy. People that need to go to grocery store, you know, are those folks that are on fixed incomes. You know, the president has blocked Keystone, you know, the XL pipeline. This administration has continued to set up hoops, which basically are studies that are done. And guess what? Every study that's been done comes back and says, basically, you should approve the Keystone pipeline, whether it's environmental or otherwise. This administration has once again put that off. It's the ability for America to become more energy independent, so we're not stressed out by things that are happening in Iraq and, you know, driving up the price of crude across the board. You know, until we start doing those types of things, you know, I'm concerned about, you know, our folks that A, live on fixed incomes, and B, have to drive to work every day. How do they survive? You know, they're not talking about millionaires and billionaires. Here we're talking about real people like you and I. So let's go to our next caller. Here we are.
Hi, Congressman.
How you doing?
My name is Jack Brew. I live in Ocala, and you just hit on a couple of things that I one is about our infrastructure and how we're going to pay for it. There's one thing that I think we could do, and that is take a look at our foreign aid.
Right.
We are borrowing money to give to these people and these countries, and some of these countries just don't much like us.
Right.
I think what the Congress should do is to go line by line with each country and cut that foreign aid back. That would free up some money to take care of our infrastructure.
Right.
And another thing, we got to try to balance a budget.
Right.
I'm sure you balance your budget, your office, your home. I know I do, and the federal government has to do that. But what we've got a president that is inept. He really doesn't understand how to run a government. So I think Congress has to be more forceful. And, of course, in the House of Representatives, you fellas hold the purse strings.
Right.
And so you've got a powerful thing there that you can freeze his money if the House so desires.
Right. Well, let me tell you, you brought up a whole bunch of things, and let's start off with foreign aid. You know, we give almost $60 billion, that's with a B, of dollars to people, to countries outside of this country, obviously. And you got to remember, most of that is borrowed money that we're borrowing every day to do. And you hit on the head. We're giving money to people that really don't like us, and never will. You know, I learned this a long time ago. I mean, my dad taught me this lesson: is that you can't buy friendship. Friendships. You form friendships with people or other countries that have mutual, respect for each other, that have, the same types of core values. So if you just throwing money at a problem, it doesn't make it better. Well, I was in Pakistan and talked to, the prime minister over in Pakistan and some of the parliament, and said, we give you, trillions of dollars. Why do you hate us so much? And their attitude was, well, first of all, you're giving it to people that don't even know it's coming from America, and we're giving it to these non-government organizations, and they just are so corrupt, they're pocketing the money, and we think that we're doing a good thing. I agree with you. We should absolutely go through line by line. As a matter of fact, in one of the bills I sponsored this year, we cut foreign aid just by 1% to fund things here in America, like our veterans, for our VA, for our folks on Medicare. We actually cut 1% to do that, but this place doesn't want to change about that. And you struck on a balanced budget amendment. I can't agree with you more. I mean, I handled a balanced budget amendment on the floor of the House a couple years ago, and I really thought that we would win. I mean, I got my part done, handled an hour of debate, and got the rule passed so we could actually bring the full balanced budget to the floor. And we had Democrats and Republicans alike that voted for that same balanced budget amendment years before, voted against it. And my whole thing is, and you hit it on the head, most people have a budget. That's what they operate off at home. I had a budget as sheriff, and my goal was always try to work within the budget, and if I could, not spend all the money and return it back to the county of what we didn't spend. I do that in my office here in Washington, D.C. We return money back to the general fund. It's about doing the right thing, and you got to have a budget to do it. And I truly believe that politicians, you got to have a balanced budget, and you got to have it in law so we actually do it, because everybody up here talks about it, but we got a whole lot of folks that really don't want to do that. And until we do that, I don't see how this ever gets better. And one other thing, the House of Representatives is 1/3 of, 1/2 of this government. And so everything that we do in the House, we got to have a Senate that works with us, that will go along with us, because if they don't, then everything goes back to a continuing resolution, which basically says they get the same money as they got last year, and with a kicker of a bonus in it, an increase in spending. That's the wrong way to do it. And so we got to get a Senate that works with us. And we today don't have a Senate that works with us, even on bipartisan bills that would create jobs that we send over that have vote counts of 400 plus out of 435. The Senate refuses to pick it up because it was, it came out of a Republican House. Things that would help Americans, put Americans back to work, and that's really the bottom line, is we need to get more people back to work. Like I say, we'll go to our next caller. Here we go. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Yes, sir. My name is Lisa Sapp, and my husband is a disabled veteran. He was in the first Gulf War. He recently waited 6 months to get into the VA in Summerfield, and I was kind of discouraged because when we went there, the doctor didn't even check him. All he does is sit behind a desk, and he's on a computer, just punching things into a computer. My husband's been waiting about a year for a sleep study, and he's been ill for over 18 years, And he just now recently, within 3 years ago, got a 40% disability. And I'm just wondering what I can do or where I could take him to get him checked to get a better disability rating for him.
Okay.
He's maxed out, they said, at 40% for fibromyalgia. And he can no longer hold down his job because he can't move. He's 46 years old, and he can barely move around. And my question is, why, what can I do?
Okay. Do you live closer to Ocala or the Villages?
The Villages.
Okay.
We're like in the middle. We're in Summerfield, so we're in the middle.
Right. Well, listen, let me give you a phone number for the Villages. You have a pen?
Yes.
Okay. It's 352
Uh-huh.
689
Uh-huh.
4684.
Okay.
Like I told a couple of the last callers, you'll get a hold of our person there at my office in the Villages. And we will start a case and actually intervene with the VA to try to move things along, get you the right answers, and help you in every way we can. And we've been really successful for a lot of our veterans in regards to getting the VA to acknowledge the claim and B, work the claim, and then also in regards to the medical care.
Right, because basically when we go there, they tell him there's nothing else they can do for him.
Yeah.
And then they sent him up to Gainesville because he had a really bad episode with stress disorder. They sent him to a psychiatrist up there, and when she opened up the door, she goes, "Oh, I know you. It's you again." And then I knew right there that she had already made up her mind before she even, listened to my husband. So she basically denied his claim. She said he had nothing wrong with him. And we have hospital records where he was taken by ambulance, hospitalized for it.
Well, like I said, let my office intercede and get the information. They'll have a form to sign that gives us permission to act in your behalf with the VA. Let us get involved. Let us see if we can't turn some things around and get the proper action that your husband deserves. And because I truly do appreciate all our veterans, and particularly, those that have served in times of combat. I was in a time of combat but never saw combat. But my sons, 2 of the 3, have had multiple deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And so I truly care that, we take care of these guys when they come home, that do everything they need to go. So please get a hold of my office there, and we will intercede as best we can. Let's go to our next caller. Once again, folks, if you're just joining us, press 0, and you'll go right to a live operator. Here we
go. This is Bill Dennis, and I do tax How are you today, Congressman?
Not bad.
I do tax returns, which is probably one of your favorite topics, and like all of us.
Only once a year.
But are you aware that you are unable now to make a telephone call to IRS? All you can do is you get a voicemail, and it's as of the 15th of April, they discontinued any live information, and as a tax preparer, I am unable to even get questions on the taxes, and also any citizen that called in the same position.
Right.
Now, they say it's because Congress cut their budget so badly that they can't do it. Now, the other thing is that I finally tried to get a hold of the local office. They don't take phone calls even to make appointments.
Really?
And, yeah, you try it. Try to call your local IRS or try to call the IRS and get any kind of a tax question answered. Okay. It's impossible. Finally I went and I couldn't make an appointment, so I had to sit for an hour. And then I finally went in and I asked the questions, and the response I got was they handed me a brochure that I could get on the Internet, and they told me that they are not allowed to give answers that are binding on the IRS. In other words, if I have a tax question and I follow what they tell me, they can still deny it. Now, this is ridiculous, and we should be able to get prompt answers on tax questions.
I agree.
Now, I hope that you as a congressman can get the IRS and bring this up and take care of this, because every American that pays taxes is affected by this.
Sure. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you could call my D.C. office here and ask for the gentleman's name is Harrison Lewis, or just think of Mr. Lewis.
Lewis Harrison or Harrison Lewis?
Harrison Lewis. Harrison's his first name. And,
okay.
And I'll give you my number here in D.C. You got a pen?
Wait just a second here.
Okay.
Wait a second. Let me just get it. Go ahead.
It's area code 202.
202.
225.
225.
1002.
1002.
And
now,
Harrison is my deputy chief, and he will handle that call personally in regards to the tax
Harrison
question.
Lewis. Now, I want to go one step further.
Sure.
They have cut the Social Security offices down so that many of them are only working 3 or 4 days a week, 6 hours a day. And again, you cannot call, and it's very difficult to call and make an appointment. Now, they do a little bit better, because if you call Social Security, they take your number and then they'll call you back, so at least you don't have to wait on the phone for an hour.
Right.
Which
well, that's reasonable,
IRS,
at least, yeah.
That's reasonable.
Right.
But again, it's very hard to get an answer. But Social Security is a little bit better than the IRS. And but for those people that need to get questions on IRS,
that's
IRS
absolutely crazy. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
They should be required to give you an answer that then you can use and not be taken and challenged later on.
Right. Of course. That's. I mean.
But you try it. You
otherwise,
you
how
cannot
you? Because and you I mean, and you do this as a job, but the tax code's so confusing. How do you do it and not put yourself or your client at risk?
But I was very interested because I did a little study and I read 12 different congressmen made statements of how big the IRS is, and one of them said it was the size of the Bible. One of them says it was 117,000 words, and another one said it was 2.5 million words. The congressmen don't even understand what the size of the IRS is, and IRS doesn't know.
Yeah, right. And the rules, if you look at the number of pages, it's well over 70,000. I think it's over 74,000 actual pages of IRS regulations. So there is, even tax attorneys have issues.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how regular folks can do it. So
the only way that you do it, is you file it to the best of your ability, and you hope that they don't come back at you and tell you you're wrong.
Right.
And it's like playing the lotto. You know that 1 out of 10 of them is going to come back at you.
Right. Well, I appreciate your call, and like I said, please give Harrison Lewis a call.
I'll give Harrison Lewis a call, and thank you, Congressman.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to go to our next caller. Here we go. Let me see if I can get the darn thing to click right for me, folks. I'm having problems here. Okay, here's our next caller. Here we go. Hello.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead? I know you've been holding for a while.
You want me to talk to the congressman?
Absolutely. You're talking to him right now.
Oh, well, my name is Dick Rosendale. I live here in Ocala. I'm 87 years of age. I spent 14 months in the Philippines in World War II, and I just have compliments for the VA that I associated with down here.
Okay.
I kept my own insurance and everything till about 8 years ago, and it got so expensive I thought I'd try the VA. And I've got nothing but compliments for these people down there.
Good.
Well, you got the bad stuff about the VA.
Right.
And I can see what's going on at the top, but when you get down to the locals here, like the clinic,
right,
and even as far as Gainesville, I've never met people as courteous as the people I working with at these.
Right.
And I think somebody should know about the good people. Let's not talk about the bad ones. Let's talk about the good ones. I was a general foreman in a steel mill, and I had 22 foremen and about 300 people.
What steel mill was that?
Fearless.
Yeah, my dad was a foreman at Youngstown Sheet and Tube in Gary, Indiana. He was a coke plant.
Yeah, that was part of U.S. Steel.
Yep.
But you take the complaints from the bad people, but nobody will step forward and say there's good people in there.
Well, I think if you heard what I started when we started on the VA issue, is that we got a lot of great employees at the VA. We really do. Most of them are the ones that are actually providing the medical care, but we got great ones that are working in other aspects of the VA. But their supervisors are the ones that are getting in the way of even better service for our veterans. I hear great things about our local clinics in all the counties that I represent. I hear great things about the Gainesville Hospital and down at Haley and Tampa, and I visited both. But a lot of times what overshadows it are the negatives. And I'll be honest with you, my office handles the majority of our complaints are about veterans not receiving the benefits they deserve, or about the slowness that it takes for the VA to actually file work on a claim and give a resolution to a claim. There are 100,000 backlog. There's 20,000 backlog, like you heard the one lady say, on certain issues. So it's those areas that we're trying to improve service for our veterans. But you hit it on the head. Typically the medical care is phenomenal. If you look back years and years ago, medical care at the VA, 20 years ago was not so good. But that's totally changed. But the administration of the bureaucratic portion of it is what's busted. And we hear about a doctor having to sit there and type in instead of looking at the patient. They're spending more time meeting the rules and regulations that are set up by the bureaucratic system within the VA to get this information in versus the quality of care. And so, we need to strike a happy medium across the board to make sure that our veterans are receiving the care in a timely fashion. It's clear that we've had, deaths because of the fact that the VA on wait times for veterans that truly needed it. Part of the bill that we put forward too is to allow, if you live 40 miles away from a VA facility, is that the VA has the ability to send you to a private care doctor to make sure that veterans get the care that they need. They already have the authority to do it. They until all the stuff that just came out about wait times, they just recently started to do that, even though they had the authority. So we're pushing to make sure that they do the right thing and get our veterans to get the care they need. I've just been told I have to get to the floor. I have an amendment coming up. So, folks, since I haven't been able to get to everybody, when we end this, all you do is you stay on the line. You'll go to voicemail. You can leave your question or your comment. Just leave a way for us to get back to you, a phone number, an address, or an email address. And we want to answer everybody's questions, but I was just told I have got to get back to the floor right now to do an amendment. So I appreciate you for staying on the line, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody, but that's what happens sometimes. Once again, stay on the line. You go right to voicemail, and please leave the message and a way for us to contact you. Listen everybody, thank you so very much, and God bless you, and thank you for being